Hi, I'm Lana, as you guys know or don't know, and with me is Bonnie, who is my friend and happened to be my neighbor as well. And she has MS, and she's also twice cancer survivor. So today, I would like to chat. Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm not sure where she's going to go.
Today, I would like to chat about what is MS and explain the differences that basically it varies person to person, symptom wise and progression wise. So, because I'm getting a lot of messages, people are saying things like, why are you sad, or what's the big deal? It's not a flu, it's nothing like a flu. So, it's a lot worse than the flu. It is terminal. People don't think it's terminal, it is terminal. In fact, in my early 20s, very good friend who was 34 who passed away because of MS. Um, so, anyways, what is MS? MS is an autoimmune disease that stops people from moving. And why does it stop people from moving? Quick rundown. MS, so it affects your nervous system. A nervous system controls everything that you do, from moving your head to moving your hands, eye movement, swallowing, everything that you do, going to the bathroom. Um, so here's your nerve, and on top of the nerve we have a covering called myelin. Our immune system doesn't like this covering, and it attacks this covering, eating it away. So the nerve becomes exposed and becomes very alive. It's when what we call a relapse, when the nerve system is being attacked and the nerve is exposed. It's alive. It's what we call a relapse or an exacerbation. And the nerve becomes exposed. Eventually, the nerve will die, because the nerve dies depending on what kind of nerve it is and depending on what it controls. You may stop swallowing, stop walking, stop talking, seeing. Absolutely everything in your body is controlled by a nervous system. So that's what essentially MS is. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, close? Okay. So everybody's bodies are different because we're all different people, and it does affect everybody very differently. The way it affects me, in so many ways it affects me, and by the way, you also don't know when it will affect you. Some things stay, some things go, some things come back. The way my constant now in my life is incontinency. I go to the bathroom a lot, or I can just lose it, and it's embarrassing. This is embarrassing. I also can lose number two at any moment in time. I don't know when it comes. It just comes. It has happened at work. It happened in a restaurant. It happens in the car with my husband. It can happen anywhere. Mobility issues, and there is a difference between mobility and sensory. Sensory is actually you feeling your skin. My sensory actually is gone in my right side from waist down to my toes. You can touch me and I would not know. So it's kind of cool. If something drops on it, you may not feel it unless it hits your bone. Sensory is that. Mobility is you actually walking. So I am affected that way as well. I don't walk very well. Sight. I've had optical neuritis in both of my eyes, but it started with my right eye, so I don't see out of my right eye. Swallowing is one of those things that affecting me as well. I can choke on my own saliva sometimes. Pain, constant pain in my legs. My legs hurt a lot. I wake up with it and I go to bed with it. There's so many. There's so many. Fatigue is actually one of the most common things that people with MS are affected. It's hard to describe fatigue because we all get tired, but it's a different type of tired. I'm sorry, I don't want to compare anybody's tiredness, but it's as I described to you, waking up in the morning and feeling like you've been already working all day in the hot sun, just exhausted, constant exhaustion all the time. I have more, but I'm going to stop right there. What are your symptoms?
My first symptoms started with optic neuritis in the left eye. I am a self-proclaimed color freak, and that is actually how I noticed the first issue happening. Looking out the window and scratching over my right eye, my left eye saw neon green in the sky. It freaked me out. So I covered my left eye, and the sky was the normal blue. Ironically, I'd had eye surgery to correct my vision, and a year and a half later, MS took one of my eyes completely back, even further. I went from 20/40, and a week and a half later, I was 2200 in my left eye. Took color tests and numerous eye exams, and finally the MRI, and was told to go see a neurologist who spent 5 minutes with me and pushed 2 great big books into my hands and said, read these, come back next week and tell me which medication you want to be on. Boom. 3 days later, I received a call. I just had my routine mammogram done and was told that I had breast cancer. So there was a lot to deal with. I was in denial for the first year. I did not take medication for my MS. I focused on the cancer, which I am now a 5-year survivor. Yay. And the scary thing is the MS. The cancer is something people have answers for. The MS, they don't have answers for. You can ask the doctor what's going to happen to me, and you can get nothing else is going to happen, or in the case of Lana, mobility, incontinence. For me, my biggest symptoms are cognitive and memory. And it's not just a matter of because I'm getting older. And I understand that that's a lot of times people respond with that as trying to make me feel better, when in fact it really doesn't make me feel better. It's very frustrating. I was always a type A driven person, very analytical and meticulous with things, and now I have notes everywhere. My life is a constant notebook. Just to make my son crazy, I'd pick him up from school and say, how was your day today? And he would tell me, and 4 minutes later I would ask him again and again and again. And it hurts people. It frustrates people when you don't have memory of what you've just talked to them about. So for me, it's a very emotional disease. I was fortunate. I regained most of the color back in my eyes, so I can still see color, which is great.
It's good.
I am still 2200 in my left eye and require glasses on one eye, so I work around that.
Anything else? I mean, I'm sure there's something, but
A lot of depression, not knowing. The fatigue, the depression, the weird pain, not knowing where it comes from. And do you attribute it all to MS? Do you attribute it to age? Do you attribute it to what you did the day before? You just don't know. And that's what it is. That's the scariest thing about this disease. You just don't know. The doctors will tell you you have MS. And there are people that will tell you, oh, it's just a disease. You get through it. The problem is, like Lana says, when the right nerves are destroyed, your life can end. And that is not something that the doctors like to tell you.
Well, what they say is that it's not, you don't die because of MS. They say you die because of, so basically, why did my friend, for example, passed away? He became a vegetable. His whole body gave out. So everything. I mean, he started a lot like me. Optical neuritis, hand trembling, mobilization. He became difficult. Walked with a cane, as I do. Then he couldn't walk. It slowly. Then he couldn't swallow. Then he couldn't. He started. Incontinency became not incontinency. It's not any longer incontinency. He doesn't know everything else. So basically, body starts to give out, and when body starts to give out, even the nervous system around the heart gives out. So, and then you pass away. Essentially, that's what would await me. So I get to say that out loud. So it's been 9 years since I've been diagnosed, and it's one of those diseases that if you look at me, I look fine, right?
Gorgeous. She looks gorgeous, doesn't she?
So I look fine, but you don't know. I mean, I've been asked if I really need to use a cane. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been, I've had all kinds of questions being asked of me, because you don't look like anything wrong with you until you're with a cane and people think something's wrong with your leg, or you're in a wheelchair and then obviously people think something's wrong with your leg, or by the time some people know is when you can't breathe anymore and you have support, so it's a disease that you cannot tell somebody's sick with until it's too late. It's just too late. So it kills you, some cases slow, some cases fast. It is primarily a woman's disease, primarily Caucasian disease, not across the board, but primarily. It's a woman's disease, it's a Caucasian disease. There are African Americans that I've met that have it, but that's what it is. If a man has it, it goes quickly. They don't know why. They don't know, there's no cure for it because they don't know where it comes from or what causes it. There are no diets. There are no miracle cures that can help this disease. Diets are good for everybody. Eating healthy is great for everyone. But there is no cure. There is no miracle that can help you heal. And in the case of my friends, he did everything. He even did bees on his spinal cord, because there was a thing people talk about that bee stings help you. He's done crazy stuff. I mean, this guy tried everything. Now, I believe he died in vain because at the time of his passing, a long time ago, they didn't have the medication that keep you at the baseline that they have now. And I've been on every single medication that actually I've been on. I mean, there is nothing right now that I haven't tried medication-wise for MS, and nothing has slowed down my progression. I keep relapsing. My last MRI, I had over 10 active lesions. So, and it really doesn't matter how many lesions you have. You can have one lesion and you can stop walking, seeing, swallowing, whatever you do, move your hands. So it's just, it is the way it is. So there is no miracle out there. What did you want to say?
Being put on a medication doesn't instantly make you, quote, feel better.
No, it
which
doesn't.
is a misconception. When you start a new medication, a lot of
Correct.
people will say, oh, well, you're feeling better now. Oh, it's working now, right? And you really don't know.
Mm-mm. Medication is supposed to keep you at the baseline.
Right.
Medication is only supposed to keep you at the baseline where you at, and that's the best hope for it. Now, when we say baseline, it doesn't mean that she no longer will relapse, no longer will have this nervous system that's active and doesn't missing this mailing covering as I spoke of. So you might still relapse, and they're like, well, you know, you will. So that's not the baseline. Baseline is basically you might have a relapse. For relapses, they do very high dosage of steroids. Steroids, people take it for other autoimmune diseases, so for whatever it may be, like 10 milligrams a day. I would do 1,000 milligrams a day for 3 to 7 days, depending what's being affected. If it's my mobilization, it would be probably 5 to 7. If it's something else, I've done like 3. So it's horse dosages of steroids that it's kind of like for females that are watching this, it's like PMS by a million times. It's rough. It's very, very rough. So yeah, medications are there. I've tried them all. Nothing has worked for me. So I am gonna go do stem cell transplant, and so far it's the closest to the cure that they have gotten. It's not approved in U.S. It's still in clinical trials, so that's what I'm doing. In other countries like Russia, Mexico, other countries, Canada, they actually do them and they provide them. In Russia, you still have to pay money for it. In Canada, they do it only for citizens. So I could not like go to Canada and get it done. But in U.S., it's still under clinical trials. That's really it. So I don't know. Anything else?
I think we should do another one. We'll do another chat and talk about what this stem cells clinical trial is going to mean and do.
Yeah, I think we should, because not a lot of people know about it, and it's not just for MS. Because it's done for lupus, it's done for other. They're actually starting doing it for diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's yeah, we should. Okay, so that's it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
Bye.